Welcome back to another soon-to-be gray, rainy day in Alabama. Although it doesn't look like it right now, we do have, I think, around a 55 to 60% chance of rain today. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited about it. I just don't know what it is about a gray day that makes me love it so. I think it's just the coziness of hearing the rain on our metal roof. We have one on our house and we have one on my shed out here. Or if it's just the fact that you can smell that damp earth smell that is just so reminiscent of fall. Or if it's the fact that usually with a rainy day, there's TV watching and family time, and usually a really good soup and sandwich combination happening in the evening. Before we get started and what I've been working on, I do want to talk about a make along that I've kind of joined along in. And this is not me leading it, but if you've been around, you know that I've been doing this stash down series for a few months now. I think we started in the first of the year, and the goal is to work through the stash. We got our stash organized. We got it put into Ravelry for those who's going to put it in Ravelry or some kind of tracking system. We went through all of our whips and we actually touched them, and we decided on the ones to let go and the ones to actually finish one day. And we also talked about game plans as far as how to motivate ourselves with games per se to work in our stash and not to buy stash and to finish what we have and work on our project queue if you have a project queue. And mine is absurd. So I've been doing that, and I think that all works great. But another thing that also encourages me is to do make-alongs with other people, and that's why I've done that Harry Potter make-along in the past. There's just something very motivational about working along with other people to complete a goal. And one thing that I've learned through this YouTube channel and really having a channel since 2014, my original channel, is that there are different kind of craft communities via the different social medias. And then inside of those communities are like these sub communities. And my goal is for my channel to be like just w- I want to be one of those sub communities, but I want to be bigger. I want to be a place where regardless of what community, not committee, you are in, that you can come here and feel welcomed and have fun crafting with other people and chatting about yarn and whatever yarny topics we talk about on this channel. So when I see new channels pop up, I watch them and I interact with them and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this stash down kind of thing too. I would love to join you on this endeavor of smashing the yarn, stashing down, and using what we have and finding joy in our current stash. And so I saw this video, and it was a live that kicked off their hashtag stash smash ex- collaboration thing. And so I joined it. Now, the leaders of this stash smash is Michelle from Little Acorn Handcrafts, Linda from Linda's Pantry, and Lynn from Hooked and Steeped with Lynn. And so the whole idea of this stash smash is just to use the yarn that you have, don't buy yarn for the month of August, and really focus on your whips, which we know that I need to do. So, and there are prizes, so that's fun too. But the prizes are for participants and not for channels. So if you are a channel and you want to join, you just make a video, you use the hashtag smash stash, and then you tag Miss Lynn, and she will put you in the stash smash playlist. And if you are not a channel and you want to participate, then you, I think, use the hashtag and you post on her community tab. You'll need to like watch that video or watch one of their videos about it for more details. I'll link that up in the description under the tag stash smash so you can easily find it. And just so you know, if you are a channel and you make a video, you're not eligible for prizes through them because they are giving away some prizes, which is fine. I'm good on yarn. And I just want to have motivation and a little friendly competition to finish it all. So that I'm kind of focusing on this month, definitely. I mean, I haven't bought yarn anyways, but the whole yay, team use the yarn thing is like powering me to knit and crochet all the things. So I just wanted to mention that before I get started. So if you are here because you found me through the Stash Smash, hi, I'm Kim. I'm so happy to have you on my channel. This is my co-host Cutie Pie. She's napping. And here we do talk all things yarn. If you're returning, welcome back, and let's go talk about some projects. So it's been a little bit since we've had one of these sit down and talk old-fashioned knitting and crochet podcasts. If you want to see more of these, I have a playlist here. You can check them out. It is fun to kind of look at those and see how these have kind of evolved over the years. They're much like me, like a little rabid squirrel just running around talking about yarn and getting all giddy about it. So if you get giddy about yarn, then you may enjoy just enjoying that like one afternoon. And if you want to kind of catch up on what's been happening in my life, I'm going to talk about that more towards the end of the video, so stick around for that. But I am really much in this stash down era of my life where I'm just trying to work through whips and work through my stash. And it's been a lot of fun. I really feel like this shift in the air, even though I know it's like 100 and something degrees outside, mental shift in the air has really gave way to the season of fall. And the coziness that comes with crafting in the fall. And I'm here for it. So I have quite a few things to show you today. And a good bit of them is knitting because I don't know, I've just had this urge to knit. And so that's what we're going to talk about first. I want to talk first about some finished objects. Is it just one finished object? Well, technically several finished objects in my knitting. I have some. I'm excited for those, y'all. It's been a minute. But back in July, I cast on this coaster pattern by Heidi and Lena. This is called Amore, and I love her patterns. I know you've heard me talk about her before. I've made several of her coasters. I made the pumpkin, the ghost, the Christmas tree. It seems like there was another one that I made. Oh, the candy corn. I just love them. They're so much fun to knit. They're very therapeutic knitting for me. They are in Tarja, but I did start this one on July the 1st, so I did make it in Americana colorway, I guess you can say. But the red, or the red and white, is Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton in Twist, Monkey, and then the blue is Loops and Threads. Capri Cotton, Denim Splash, and Cream is, I think, some really old Peaches and Cream. It was just stuck in my cotton bins without a ball band, but that the way it's shaped, I'm just like 99.5% sure that's what it was. Because I remember buying a bunch of that back when Dirt Cheap was a place. Do y'all remember Dirt Cheap? Did you ever shop there? Occasionally you can find some good yarn. I never found any locally, but when I would visit my parents when they lived in Tupelo, their Dirt Cheap always had yarn from Walmart and Target and other places and like Michael's, like always. And so every time I went in there, I always bought some cotton because it was always like less, I think it was like 50 cents a thing, which was just, I'm like, it's coming home with me. Hence why my stash is in the state that it is and while we're doing this stash smash and stash down. But I love it. So the pattern actually calls for DK weight yarn, wool, and I use cotton, which is a worsted weight. And this is, I do want to say this is where things can kind of go awry for you. So it is an intarsia. You just kind of keep that center motif in the center. But when you're weaving in your ends, if you do use a worsted weight yarn, in some places, like right here, it can get a little bulky. What I should have done and what I would have done if I was knitting this to give someone is take that and split the threads in that yarn and wind and weave, some of them going that way and some of them going that way, and it would take the bulk out of that section and still make the ends super secure. But this is for me, and honestly, I just don't care. Typically, I knit 2 of these because I like to have one out here for the season and then one in the house by my chair, but for now, I'll only knit the one. But I think I want to knit another one because I want to continue that. I would like to have just a little knitted coaster by me all the time because I don't know, it's cute. And it gets stashed out of my bookcases and into a project. So this whole thing didn't take me a lot of yarn at all either. Altogether, I only used 61 yards, so super great use of scraps. And these would make super, super cute gifts. Now, if you want to see the detailed project notes, then of course I always make projects on my Ravelry page. I will link my Ravelry down below, and I will make sure to put the photo up so you can easily find it when you look, because I think I have over 400 and something projects. I've documented every project I've ever made on Ravelry, and now I'm putting them in a book. If you're new, you may not know that. So it's just kind of something I enjoy doing. Again, a rabid little squirrel running around. But the next project I want to talk about is my Cozy Memories blanket. And y'all know this thing has my heart. And it's so weird because I will go without touching this thing for months, and then I just get this urge, and it's literally the only single thing in the world that I want to work on. Like, I don't know. Do you have projects like that? Do you have something that you just keep going back to that, I don't know, there's just coziness in it, memories attached to it? I don't know. But that is living in this Chica bag. Again, a company that is no longer with us. I wish they were still around. I love their bags. I love this bag in particular. It does have this drawstring closure on top, but it has so much space in it. So as big as this thing grows, I can continue to use this bag. Now, I am going to tell you that I'm probably mid-row, because if you're new here, that's just how I live my life. I will be knitting in bed and then put it down mid-row. Oh, no, I'm actually done. So for this one, I'm knitting on my Signature Needle Arts stiletto, and these are their 7-inch straights, and I love little needle straights for projects like this. So it's just 2 needles, and I have, because I'm just knitting squares. And I really would love another set of these for making the coasters. Those coasters, I use a US 5. These are a US 2. But Signature Needle Arts is no longer a thing. They have been bought out by Chigu though, so I'm pretty excited. I keep actively looking on their website for them to put out the 7-inch needles. Chigu, please make a 7-inch needle with a stiletto tip. I don't care what kind of finials at the bottom, just give me what I love. And for temporary use, I did get some cheap DPNs and stick a needle stopper on the end to make my own. But the cheaper needles that like you find at big box stores are so much heavier than the nicer needles, and they do a lot more wrist hurting on me than those little airy things of joy do. So I really hope that Chigu puts out the 7-inch straight needle. Just saying. So you saw in that community toast where I made the little white tree. So what I've done is taken that white yarn that's speckled joy, and I am putting it straight into my blanket because I finished that tree. So this is my Cozy Memories blanket currently. I can't see my screen, so I'm just hoping that I'm in view. And I started this many years ago. These are all previous projects, and I'm knitting mine so that my decreases form a diamond. This past, whatever, 2 or 3 months since we've last chatted, I've knitted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm on my 6th square. And I'm about halfway done with this one. So for this one, I had a cast on here, and then I had a cast on by doing the backwards cast on. well, I had to pick up stitches here and then do backwards cast on so that my decrease will come down this way to form that diamond with a decrease. And so with each row on the right side, I'm picking up one of these stitches from this square on the previous row. And then as I go to the reverse side, I'm knitting it together with the last stitch of the new square, and that's how it makes it stay together. So this is a join as you go project, and there's a lot of patterns for this online. A lot of them have all the diagonals just going the same way, and it's a lot less thinking process before you start a square, because you really, if you're doing it this way, you really have to think about your orientation of your square so you can get that diamond shape. And that's why my squares look like they're all going, the miniature squares look like they're all going different ways, is because they are, just so I can get that diamond. And the back of it, once you get all your ends sewed in, it still looks pretty nice. I mean, it's not horrible, but this thing is so perfect. It's so lightweight. It's just sock weight yarn, so a number 2 yarn, and I just love it. One of my favorite stitch markers is on here, and this is from Lindsay, who was Simply Serving. She's no longer making stitch markers either, which just makes me so sad, because I went looking for one of her stitch markers the other day because I just wanted to buy one. I love supporting her business, and I just can't find any more stitch markers like it on the market. But this one is like a little jar of vegetables. So there's some cucumbers in there and looks like little tomatoes. And then it has like this little bitty fabric on the mason jar. If you are someone who's out in the woods like I am, and you garden and you can food, then you just kind of have a special place in your heart for things like that, because I learned to can from my grandmother. And I didn't get to do a garden this year. We're still, like, in the thick of cleaning out the house. So I'm really excited to eventually get done with this project, with cleaning out the house and renovating, so I can get back to gardening and canning some food for the winter, because there's just nothing better than fresh canned tomatoes for a stew in the winter. And I really am sad that I don't have any for this year. So that's just the perfect stash down little project, and I need to figure out how much yardage I'm using per square. I can look in my notes and see pretty easily. I think I only use around 15 to 20 grams per square, so it's not a lot, but it allows me to use up those itty bitty little pieces of yarn that I would have just thrown away and went in a landfill, and now they're having a meaningful life afterwards. But in here, I have all my little trees, y'all, and there's so many of them. I'm so excited. I don't know how many are where I was the last time we talked, so I'm just going to briefly show you the ones that I have. I'm pretty sure I had these two done the last time we talked, and I think I had the drop stitch marker, that one done the last time we talked. And then I done, this one is New Jeans by Apple Yarns, or Apple Yarns. This is that white yarn that I showed you. I think it's more of a sport weight, but I don't mind that they're a little bit bigger. They're just going to be hanging up. So I think the different size trees, I'm not going to go over a sport weight though. So fingering weight or sport weight is what I'm using for this. This is one that I just knit up by some scraps that someone gave me. Love the purples. This yarn was sent to me from my friend Deborah. I'm pretty sure she knit a sock head hat out of this, and she gave me her scraps, so I need to put that in the blanket, the leftover. That's what's going in next, and then label it. This is some Desert Vista Dye Works. This is some Lorna Laces in the Rat Pack. I haven't sewn in my ends yet because I'm going to be using this end to fix it to my garland. I have a bee garland. This one is more Desert Vista Dye Works. Love it. Desert Vista Dye Works. This is Plymouth Yarn Happy Feet in the color Lipstick. It's a really great buoyancy yarn. I have a whole sweater's quantity of this in the blue to knit a sweater with. I'm pretty excited. This, we're going to talk about that one in a second. This is Desert Vista Dye Works and the Murder on the Orient Express. Desert Vista Dye Works DIY Cream Eggs. This one is Campfire by Mustache Yarns. It's part of a collaboration she did a few years ago with a potter, and I have the mug over there. It's just gorgeous. And then this one, I don't even know what green yarn this is or where it came from. And then we have some more Desert Vista Dye Works. Now, this one, I made these two. So these are leftover yarns from that Roll Me Hill shawl I completed, I think the last time we had one of these podcasts, actually. And I was making these trees, and I was going in and putting the yarns into the project page on Ravelry, and I realized that somehow something went astray. I don't know what happened. So this is supposed to be Fig Compote, and I verified by looking at the other wet colorways of Fig Compote, and that's what this is. And I thought this was called, and these are Kim's dye yarn, Kim dyes yarn, not me, Kim, another Kim, because there's a lot of Kims who love yarn. But this one is called, I thought, Murky Pond, and it's gorgeous, like, I don't know, chartreuse, greenish yellows, I don't know. And so I was putting in the notes, and I just happened to hit the little button that showed the other Murky Ponds that have been stashed on Ravelry, and it looks nothing like this. Nothing. So I was very confused. Which, again, Rabid Squirrel, so it sent me down this, like, rabbit hole of, like, where did I even get this yarn? Come to find out, I had bought this yarn on Ravelry from a D-stash to pair it with this project. This is why it's important to keep good project notes, people, so you can go off on these tangents and figure out what in the world is happening. So I think when I bought this, whoever sold this to me had put the wrong label on the yarn. This is definitely a Kim Dyes yarn though, by the colorway and how it's dyed. Like after a while, you just can look at yarns and you can definitely see a style that the dyer has in their yarns. And so I know it's one of the Kim Dyes yarns. I don't know which colorway it is though. So currently in my projects, everything that I've used this for says Murky Pond, but that's not the right colorway name. And then I thought maybe this was Murky Pond, so I went deep diving into it. This is actually fiber seed, because I originally used this on a gnome up there's little hat, and so I was able to track that down. So I did finish the 3 of these, but only this one has not the right name attached to it. So I don't know. It's just a little tree mystery. I'm hoping one day to find the correct name of that. So if you are familiar with Kim Dyes yarn and that colorway does look familiar to you, then please let me know what it is so I can correct my project pages and not feel like a crazy person because I was so confused on what was happening. Now, I mentioned the mini stockings, and I have been working on one of those. I did cast on another one, and in that video where I talked about the 141 patterns with the Christmas movies, I talked about this new mini stocking that I saw that was Harry Potter, that had the Harry Potter houses on there. I mentioned how I thought I would try that for one of my miniature stockings because I just kind of like the proportions a little bit better. But the problem is it's a much smaller sock than what I've already started knitting. And I have several of these made, so I don't want that to be such a huge difference in the sock size. So these I'm using 32 stitches, and that one uses 24 stitches. And then this one has like a little actual heel and gusset being made by some slip stitches. And that one uses just a short row heel. I think this one just uses a rounded off toe, and that one uses a Kitchener stitch. Or maybe this one uses a Kitchener stitch. There's a little bit of variation in the pattern, but the biggest thing was the stitch count. So I cast it on and then I just ripped it out and was like, I don't feel like doing math. These are supposed to be fun, like while I'm watching TV or while I'm at the movie project. And so I just kind of stuck with Old Faithful. This is Sweetest Little Stockings, and for these I'm using a 0 needle, and they're all fingering weight yarns. They're roughly 30 to 40 yards per miniature stocking, and eventually when I get enough of these, I would like to have these as kind of like a banner or bunting hanging from the ceiling, like a garland somewhere for the shed, because who would like to look at little cute socks everywhere? I mean, they're adorable. So this one's actually out of some more Desert Vista Dye Works because these I'm only knitting out of Desert Vista Dye Works yarn. I do know the color. This is called 1944 M&Ms. And again, this is another dyer who is no longer dyeing. Like these great dyers and these great tool makers of the crafts that we love are just, there's a huge shift happening. And much like everything else in the world, you have all these who have been part of your adventure for so long and your journey. And it's really sad to see them moving on to something else. I'm happy for her, that she's moving on and she's getting to really focus on her health. But it is sad, that you can't see other people enjoy that creativity that person put out into the world. Which brings me to my last knitting project that we're talking about today, and that is my socks, because I cast on another pair of socks. I think I shared a photo. I know I shared several work in progress photos on my community tab of these socks, so you can see how they were growing. And I'm gonna be honest, they've been kind of put on the back burner because I got addicted to square knitting and tree knitting again. And another miniature sock. I did have another miniature sock. Anywho, I am knitting these with Lion Brand yarn. This is Sockies from Lion Brand. One ball makes a pair, is what the label says. And this is the color Lemon Drop. This is some very old stash. You can see that there's a Tuesday morning tag on here, and I paid $4.99 for this yarn. I miss Tuesday mornings. Why are all these good things leaving us? Tuesday mornings always had really good commercial yarn. And so it's this gorgeous yellow, and it's living in this really cute little yarn koozie knit by Bridget Queens. Crafts by Bridget, maybe is the channel name. Put it here. Creator that I saw one of their videos and I wanted to support them, so I ordered some of the bags. Did I order 2 of these? I think I ordered 2 of these. Or maybe I just ordered the one. I can't remember. No, I did order 2. And the way they work is they snap around. It reminds me of those little Japanese takeout boxes, and then you put your yarn in there and you just snap it closed, and it keeps it from getting tangled, smangled in your bag. And I like to, typically I don't really pull from center pulls, so that's a whole nother video to talk about, but I am pulling from a center pull right now. And I got all the way, I was just going to do a plain vanilla shorty sock for these because knitting those last shorty socks, I realized I like them. I don't feel like they take as long to knit because I have big feet, because I'm not knitting this long leg, and so I find sock knitting a little bit more enjoyable because of that. And I got right about to where the stitch marker is, and I was looking at it and I'm like, I could just continue doing this traditionally, or I can add some fun. So I put a post up on the community tab asking for ideas of things that you think of when you hear summer. And y'all gave some really great suggestions. There was some camping, there was flowers, there was the sun, there was the beach and the ocean. But for me, it's a lot of those things. But I think the last couple of years, it's really been going to church camp with our church youth and going out in the ocean. And every time we go, there's either a shark attack right before or right after we're in Panama City, which is a little bit scary. So I decided to do a shark. I do want to show you something because this is the first time I've ever done color work on a sock. If I had started the color work band on my leg right here where that stitch marker is, it's kind of small, it's just a little clip. Then when I put the sock on, the band of color work would be sitting at an angle because this goes down the back of your heel. So if you're ever knitting socks and you do want to venture in some color work just on your cuff to start off with, you always want to knit a couple of inches after you finish your heel to allow for that curve on your heel so that when you do the band of color work, it sits as an even band around your leg of your sock. So that is what I am doing now. I just got to the point where I'm ready to start my colorwork motif for my sock. I decided to do a shark, and so I found some scraps because I'm trying to use what I have, and I don't want to break into a full skein for just a little bit of color work on a sock leg. So I found this blue. I have no idea where this came from. It's like a blue and a gray, but I just think it would be perfect for a shark color. And then I found some white that I'm going to be using for the shark's underbelly. This is some red heart and soul with aloe. And then I have this dark green that I have. I just knit that mini tree, and so I was going to put this up, and I'm like, you know what? I can find use for that. And so what I'm thinking about doing, this is kind of why this has been sitting still, is I've been trying to plan how I want my scene on my sock. So I do on a couple of the Pacific Knit Co. doodles, and I did join her doodle club, but she has these charts, and you can rearrange them on your projects to create really cool color work. It's kind of like color by numbers, but with color work. So I doodled out the shark that she had, and so I'm going to be using that white for the belly and that bluish color for the top of the shark. And then I was toying with putting fish, like it's chasing a fish, but I don't have enough stitches to go around my leg. So you have to figure out how many stitches you need to make the main motif. So I'm going to be able to get 2 of the main motif sharks on my leg, and I had about 9 stitches to play with in between. So I found this her doodle of like some seaweed, so I'm going to do some seaweed, I think, in between my motif. However, the seaweed is just going to be a very small portion, so I'm thinking I might try to just do some intarsia for it and not actual color work, but it's kind of harder to do intarsia in the round, and I've never done that before, and I am a next step knitter, so whenever I get to a project and there's like a next step, I usually put it on pause until I can, I guess, muster up the mental fortitude to push through it. And that's kind of what's happened here. Although I am planning on starting that this weekend because I just want to knit the socks and I want to be done with them and get that off my works in progress and move on. So look to see some actual color work on my socks next time we get together, and me being on sock number 2. I am knitting these on DPNs because I have learned that I do not like knitting socks on anything other than DPNs. I don't know. It's just like a personal preference. You can knit socks on whatever you want to knit socks on. I've done magic loop. I've used 9-inch. I do occasionally do 2 at a time, but there's just something that is so meditative to me for DPNs, and that's why I just keep going back to them. And I'm not sorry about that. I just love my DPNs. So that's all the knitting I have to show you today, but I do have some crochet to talk to you about because I have been kind of like pulled to that also lately. Again, complete Rabid Squirrel. Maybe that should be the title of this. In my Rabid Squirrel Era. So first off, for crochet, I have completed a project. Like, please, can I get a round of applause? So this is Fred the frog. Fred. Oh, Fred. So I'll give you a little quick story about the name Fred. Growing up, I'm the only child of my parents. My father has 2 sons from a previous marriage, or previous marriages, and I don't know. I think they thought I was gonna be a boy. I was gonna be a boy. I was gonna be Justin until I was delivered, and then they were like, "Oh, it's not, it's not a boy, it's a girl." So I'm now Kim. But my dad always called me Fred because I was very much a tomboy, still am a tomboy, and I always just played outside with cars and in the dirt, and I would bring in snakes and turtles and bugs all the time as a child, and So I was just nicknamed Fred. And I don't remember if it was like the show Drop Dead Fred had just come out probably around that time, but my mom was substituting one day and at my school, and school was kids are so mean. They're so mean. I was sitting there, I was in middle school. And I was kind of just doing my thing. She was substituting my class. She was being all chill, not, making a big deal about it. And then she, without even thinking, looked at and was like, Fred, come here. And I remember just sitting in my seat being completely mortified. Mom, you're probably going to watch this. I promise you, I've never forgotten that. And she called me Fred in front of everybody. I still love her though. But this is Fred the Frog. I was a little worried about Fred because I queued Fred a long time ago and I went to go make Fred and I realized that Fred's pattern was no longer on Ravelry. And I thought Fred originally was a free pattern. And so when I clicked and I saw that you could not find it, I was kind of worried because I had bought this loops and thread yarn specifically for Fred. I wanted to crochet a big, I think y'all call these stuffy frogs, or I don't even know. This is loops and threads something. Chenille Home Heather, and this is the color green. It's really pretty. It's a very heathery green. Love it. I don't love this yarn though. I don't love chenille yarn. I don't love velvet yarn. I use it. I mean, it makes fun things, but it kind of poops on you. And I don't know how to make it like not poop on you, like the little yarny pieces, but it's fine. I found Fred. Fred had been moved to the designer's Etsy store. And it's now a paid for pattern. So I purchased Fred and then I made Fred, and I think my yarn was much bigger than what she used, but I liked this green yarn and that's what I wanted my Fred to be made out of. But Fred is so cute. He has these big old hands. I kind of wish I had put pipe cleaners in them so I can kind of just like make him like sit somewhere and wave at you like this. I still may try to weave some pipe cleaner in there and do that. And he has just kind of these dangly legs. I mean, he's pretty cute. Her Fred had a mouth. I don't know. I thought about putting a mouth on Fred, but then I think he just kind of looks like a grumpy frog, and I kind of like it like that. Fred's eyes are the biggest eyes that I had. I think they're 20 millimeter, and they kept popping through the stitches. So for Fred, I used a 9 millimeter hook. So what I had to do was take some really thick felt and then poke a hole in it and then put Fred's eye through it and then put the backing on the stub of the safety eyes, even though they're not safe, because they still keep popping off. So then I put glue on the back of it and then put it all together, and guess what? I can feel where one of them's already popped off the back again. So I just don't like safety eyes, but they look cute. I'm probably going to have to try to stick some glue in there and like reattach his little eyeball so it didn't fall out later on. But I may just I don't pull it out anymore. But it's definitely coming. Well, I just pushed it back down some more. I don't know. I may have to stick some more glue in there. Fred's just kind of being a problem child. But I do love how Fred turned out. And I love how he was designed, making his little eyebrows. I did make mine bigger, though, than she did. Because the yarn I was using, or maybe the hook combination I was using, didn't give him enough brow to make him as grouchy, grumpy Fred Frog that I wanted. But he's pretty cute. And so he's going to be sitting out here now. My next crochet project came straight from Area 51, and that is the bag tree that's over here to my left. So from that, I grabbed my last Tuft bulb kit flower to crochet. And I started this thing. So this is from Tuft. Why do I keep saying Tuft? Woolens is the name of a wool wash that I love, like a bar. And I keep saying that instead of Tuft UK, which is a crochet pattern designer. And I love Tuft UK. I love all of her designs. They're always so cute. I own several of her books. I think I did a book review on one of her books. I do want to get back to doing my book reviews. I keep saying that. I need to do it. I need to do it. But this is the last flower in the bulb kit. And this kit is no longer a thing on her website. My husband bought it for me years ago. It is 6 of the miniature bulbs. Let me grow grow the bulb for you. Let me grab the kit for you so I can show you the yarn. Oh my. So the kit came in this box actually, which is a really nice box. It has a magnetic closure, and then all the patterns were in here. I laminated them because as soon as I got this and I was making the very first one, my cat ate part of the corner. Go figure. So this is all the yarn I have left over from just doing the other ones. Like there's a good bit of the chartreuse green, and then there's a good bit of the white, and then the brown. And you see all this other dark green, and I still have plenty to finish him up in this bag. And I also have a whole thing of the yellow to do his head. So plenty of yarn with these kits. I just love that they give plenty of yarn because y'all know in the past I've had a kit. I'm not going to say by what company where the yarn that they supplied is a little skimpy and people are not having enough yarn to finish the project. If you're curious about that, you should check out my Vlogmas playlist from last year. Just saying. But I made that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. And so I'm making this one, and I did not know the size difference. This guy is so much bigger than the other ones. Like I'm kind of, I don't know if he's supposed to be like the daddy flower. I don't know. But you can see his head compared to the other ones. He's a lot bigger. And I'm not even done with his body yet. And this is going to be his body. And I bought this cute little shelf to hold them on, and I don't know if he's going to fit. I'm probably going to have to make him so that I put his legs so he can be a sitter flower and not stand, so that way he can fit on the shelf and he can sit by the other ones. Because the shelf was super cute. I picked it up at the dollar spot or the red spot or whatever it's called at Target last year. And it's just the perfect little thing to hold these on the wall. But he's going to have a body that's going to allow him to sit down to be able to fit on the shelf with the other flowers. But I'm super excited to get him off my hooks. I'm using a B hook, a 2.25. I originally started this project in February of 2023. So the fact that I'm getting this off of my whips off of Ravelry just excites me because I want to get that so close to being done. I don't expect to get all of them off before the end of the year because I do have some long-term projects on there like the Cozy Memories blanket and the Desert Vista dye work socks and the mini trees, and I'm okay with that. I just want to get it a lot less than what it is now. And a couple of the projects I'm still just kind of like trying to figure out my way through. So I'm excited to see though a project come off of Area 51 and be completed. Okay, so that covers all of the knitting and crochet, but I did have some yarn adventures that I want to share with you. So I had to go to Auburn, Alabama for my husband to pick up something at Best Buy, and I thought while I'm there, I might as well go venture to All Strung Out Yarns, which is a really cute little yarn store in Opelika, Alabama. We've been there before when we did the yarn crawl last year, and you can see that footage here if you want to see more of the store or just more of that yarn crawl in general. It was so much fun, and I was happy to take you along with me. There is going to be another yarn crawl this year. I may have to go on a venture, but I'm really going to not buy yarn. So that could be a fun little challenge to see if I can actually complete that and not buy any yarn on this yarn crawl. But this adventure, I never been to that Best Buy, and so I used GPS or Google actually to get me from Best Buy to point B, the yarn store. Because I'm like, surely what can go wrong, right? And The funny thing about Alabama is there's still a lot of dirt roads in Alabama. Like, we don't have every road paved. When I say you're out in the woods in Alabama, it's country. Like, a lot of these areas are really rural country areas, and it's a beautiful, great thing, and that's one of the many reasons why I love my state. However, it could be that GPS sends you down this one lane dirt road after a really, really heavy rain for weeks. And you start wondering, am I going to get stuck? Can my husband find me in the middle of this one lane dirt road? Are there bears? Is someone going to kill me on my way to the yarn store? And so, like, you're going down this road and it's several miles long. And I was like, okay, when is this going to end? Then I noticed that my cell phone signal started kind of weighing in and out, which is never a fun time. I finally made it to the end of the road and it put me in an area where it was only like 5 to 6 minutes from the yarn store. It was kind of crazy. It was time travel. I do believe it was time travel. But while I was there, I knew I was not going to buy yarn. And so I knew that from the last time I was there that she sold some of the doodle card kits. So the doodle kit I mentioned earlier, that's what I'm getting my sock shark from, and the seaweed, is a kind of like this brainchild of Pacific Knit Co. So she has all these doodle charts, and it's kind of like color by numbers. You can just look at the chart, choose your colors, and then arrange whatever chart you want to in a way to make your color work designs. And I love the concept. I love this book. I shared it several times. I'll link it down below. It is an affiliate link, so if you purchase, the channel makes a couple of coins for using the link, but nothing extra gets charged to you. But it's a great little a little book. And then all it is just a bunch of charts and kind of some ideas. And so she has the book that has over 200 charts in there, and you can mix and match. And then she also has like a digital download series. There's her doodle club where you get exclusive charts sent to you each month, and then you can get the doodle decks. And so when I was there, I posted a picture of her little layout of all these, and I was like asking y'all to guess which one I purchased. And I had actually got the Desert Doodle deck card. Now, I was given the Rhinebeck doodle card during my Worldwide Knit in Public event, and so I really wanted to get another one because I love these so much. I love color work. So I've been planning several projects with these. I don't want to talk about them yet until I figure out and finalize my colors and everything. But I picked up this one because I love flowers and I love cactuses. I have several cactuses in the house. And this little kit, you get more doodle cards that are related to that theme. And then in here, there's also a pattern for a cow and a longer cow. And so you can use them to make your project. The interesting thing, because I had to look it up before I went in there, because I was worried, okay, if I buy a doodle deck, am I going to have multiples of the same pattern? And the way that she has done all this, which is just genius, is the doodle deck series are not repeated in the book. So this has 200 charts. Each one of these, I think, has 24 to 26 charts. And there's a whole variety of different ones. So I also bought some digital downloads. I've got the sea one, I've got the garden one, and I got the, what is that word called? Cryptids. So like Bigfoot and things like that. And then I am doing her doodle club, and I got another one. I can't remember what it is. And I'm really wanting to get back into colorwork knitting because for me, colorwork knitting is a great way to use and burn through stash. And I say that because again, this whole rabid squirrel theory that my mind is, if I'm constantly changing colors and doing something different, it keeps me more focused on that thing. So if I can change colors every few minutes, it's going to keep me more sitting and knitting on that one project. If I'm doing the same thing over and over, I get burnout, mental burnout, and then I get bored and I want to move on to something else. So using the way my mind thinks, and using that to my advantage, I think is going to help me push through my stash more. And definitely into the new year when we're going to really focus on the queue. This year, we're really focusing on just working through our stash and getting stash organized. And next year, the work happens when we're going to be working on all those projects that we have queued up since the dawn of time. And we're actually going to be making those things even more because we're going to have a lot of our whips done, aren't we? Hopefully, we'll see. I don't know. And then a couple weeks ago, I had to go to town, which I don't go to town often. I perfectly enjoy staying at home and just going to church and buy groceries. But I went to Michael's and I did get a little bit of footage there. Did I even buy anything at Michael's? I didn't even buy, I had to think about it. Did I buy? I feel like I bought something at Michael's. They do have some new yarns out. So if you haven't seen those, check out online to see if your local store has them. And then back in July, we had a impromptu trip to the Smoky Mountains, and that is where my phone died. And that is why I'm using this. So if you notice, some of my B-roll or my secondary footage is not as nice as it used to be. It will come back. It'll be back good again. But I'm currently using an SE that has a home button. There's a home button, y'all. This thing is so old. Half of my apps don't even work on it, so I can't really do a lot of things right now. But I'm trying to get some footage of things for you. And we were at the Smokies. I lost all my Smoky footage on my other phone. I'm so heartbroken about it. I had some footage of the yarn store because I went to the Smoky Mountain Spinnery and I love that yarn store. I have a whole video on my channel about it, so if you've never been there, you can check it out here. I just really hate that I lost all that footage. But I did get something there. I got this. So in here, I got two things. I did break my yarn buy, but just listen. Don't come at me and don't yell at me. I told y'all that I was not going to buy yarn except unless I went on a random vacation for a souvenir. I didn't even get a whole skein of yarn. I literally just got a mini skein of yarn. Not a whole one, just a mini. I was very much a good girl. Very, very good. So since August of last year, I've only bought this yarn, that rainbow yarn to make those baby hats from donation, and that chenille yarn to make those other hats for donation. And that other skein of chenille yarn, I didn't even keep. I gave it away to the girl at church. So, and the other one I used up, except for a little bit that I have another project planned for. That's another conversation for another day. So I only got this one, but it's so pretty. It sparkles and it's green. So this is Copper Corgi. And this is the Savannah Glitzy Mini in 4-leaf clovers. Look at that. So you may think, Kim, what's that gonna be? You're not supposed to be bringing in yarn. You have a lot of minis, and I do have a lot of minis, but minis to me are the backbone of my stash. I mean, they really are the backbone of my knitting because I use these kind of yarns in that Cozy Memories blanket, in my little trees, in my miniature stockings. I use them for when I make some amigurumi, but I saw this and I'm like, it kind of needs to be part of a gnome. So I'm really thinking about casting on a gnome and knitting a gnome and doing some color work on a gnome. I've done color work on a gnome before. I love the gnome series from Imagine Landscape, Sarah. And I forgot this gnome's name. Make No Mistake. I made this one and I did the color work and I loved it. It was so much fun. And I kind of have been itching to make another gnome. Besides the crochet tutorial big gnome that I have on my channel, that was the last gnome that I made, and that was in 2022. And I made 7 of her patterns, and I have a book, and I have a couple more of her patterns. So I'm kind of itching to cast on a gnome, and I want to talk more about that in my next video when I'm talking about my fall planning. But I also got something that was not yarn related, because I still like to support those kind of stores, because if we don't support those kind of stores, then those stores close down and we don't have those kind of stores. And y'all know that I have lost several yarn stores in my state over the past 6 years, like 4 or 5 of them. Like, they're just dropping like flies. So I do want to support that store. And so I did get this mug, and by getting this mug, not only am I supporting that yarn store, but I'm also supporting the maker, the potter who made this. But is this not gorgeous? I love this little detail on the handle. These sheep are kind of like raised up. Love. And you can see the potter's name on the back. I think it says Campbell. It's gorgeous on the inside. Look at the spots. It's so pretty. So this is going to be another great shed mug to keep out here. So you'll be seeing that. I haven't even used it because I wanted to show y'all first. But it's just so pretty. I love the sheep and I love the colors. Love them so, so much. So that is what I got there. But that trip kind of ties into a couple of other things that's been happening here. And so I do want to give you a little bit of a life update. So as far as my life update, not all of this pertains to knitting and crochet. So I understand if that doesn't interest you, and that's okay. If it doesn't, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video, and don't forget to let me know down below what you're working on this week, or even share a photo of it on the community tab. But if you do want to hear kind of what's been going on, then I welcome you to sit and chat just a little bit more with me. I'm going to grab my coffee for this one. So a couple of things have happened. We went to a local toy con, and I shared a picture on my community tab of my son. He's 15 years old, and he is a very talented kid. He is a creative like myself. He loves to make things. He loves to do 3D printing. So a couple years ago, he did get a 3D printer for Christmas or his birthday. And he loves doing cosplay. So every year he makes a different cosplay outfit. Last year he was a Mandalorian, and so this year he was a character from a game called Helldivers, where you go in and fight space bugs. I don't know. Apparently it's pretty popular because there was several other people dressed up as Helldivers at the last con that we went to when he was a Mandalorian, and they got pictures together. And they would walk around saying the motto of the game. I don't know. And so he does a really great job. He 3D prints it, he paints everything, he makes all of his little parts and pieces in his cape. I do need to teach him how to sew though, because the boy wants to just use staples, and I'm like, just learn to sew. So that's my goal this year, is to teach him how to sew so he can kind of improve his cosplay a little bit. But even the other boys who were there with their other cosplay, the other people from this game, they had used staples and tape too. I'm like, guys, come on. We can so improve here. But we had a lot of fun. We took a couple of kids from church, his friends that went with us, and it was just a good day of going out with them, hanging out with them, and then taking them out to eat afterwards at a really good burger joint. Really good burger joints are awesome. And while I was there, I did look at a couple of crochet booths. There's usually like 1 or 2 vendors that have some crochet at their booth, and so I did see some. I kind of talked to them. I saw one that I've never seen before, so I always make sure that I, talk to them and like follow them and try to support them any way that I can as far as sharing their stuff on social media. So I enjoy going for that aspect of it. I don't really buy anything there. I did buy, I think, a sticker, and I don't even know where it is. I think I put it in my notebook. And so that was that day. So also, I got a text message, and this is kind of craft related, I guess, crochet related, because I got an unexpected text message, and the message was that someone left a box and a bag for me at church in the foyer, and I thought it was hats for donation. It wasn't. I went up there and it was actually a bunch of knitting and crochet books and some yarn. And the yarn I'm just straight taking to the library because I really don't want to bring any more yarn in here, although I'm very grateful, but I know that my library ladies can use it a lot more than I can. So I'm taking it to them to put in the communal closet so whoever needs it has access to it. And the books I did go through, and I am keeping a couple of the books because there's some really amazing old ones that just had my heart from the very beginning. Like this knitting and crochet and embroidery. Like how awesome is that? It's a pretty thick book. It has color photos, which I like, but it has some really cool stitches, and I just love a good stitch dictionary, and I love retro patterns. They're just fun. And I just love to read the little things about them. So I kept a couple of those. Another cute one that was in there is this from, I don't even know when this is from. This is Ripples. Look at that. It was 29 cents. Sweaters, coats, gloves, slippers, suits, dresses, and hats. I'm kind of digging the dog sweater. I kind of want to make it. It's just too cute. But they have some crocheted socks in here. That would be so thick. But they're kind of like cowboy boots. I'm kind of digging them. I don't know. They might make good house socks for winter. Well, look at those. Those are cool. How fun are those? So that's fun. But there's a huge stack of these that I'm going to do as giveaways. But with these, I'm going to use some of these as giveaways for my next Worldwide Knit and Crochet public event. These are all leisure arts, and there are a couple that are duplicates, but there's some really good ones in here. But I would like to do a giveaway today with you guys. And so I think I'm just going to pick 2 of them, and we're going to do a giveaway. So we're going to do Crochet Stitches, 22 Stitches and 5 Projects by Leisure Arts. And then we're going to do Easy Crochet Critters by Vanna's Choice, 10 amigurumi designs. And so you can see the designs here for a little crochet gift pack. And then I will throw in a progress keeper that I make for you. I will get with you and kind of get an idea of what you like, and then I'll probably have a charm. I used to make and sell stitch markers and progress keepers and knitting and crochet bags at my local yarn store. And so I do have some of that supplies left, and I would like to utilize that as giveaways and stuff. So to be eligible to win this little prize pack for me, a couple little things. Number one, please be in the continental US. Unfortunately, with shipping right now, it's just astronomical to send anything. And my channel really doesn't make a lot of money because I don't really put out a lot of videos right now. And my husband's out of work for like 8 weeks because of surgery he had to have on his hand. So I would like to keep this in the continental US. I would like for you to like put a sentence down below so I know that you want to be eligible for this giveaway. I need you to use a keyword in that because I don't want to limit other people who are not in the US or who are not interested in these books to still have the ability to comment. So just put a sentence with a keyword rain, RAIN, and then I will use a random number, a random word picker, and I will type the word rain in, and then we'll just randomly choose a comment based off of those criteria. This giveaway is not sponsored, endorsed, affiliated with YouTube or anyone else. That's about it. There's more YouTube rules and regulations down at the bottom. Please look over those for any questions. And yeah, I will draw those, and I will either make a post or I will make an announcement of the winner in my next what I've been working on video. As far as cleaning out the house, I feel like I'm really making some progress. We were able to get one of the bigger recliners out and get it to my parents' house last week. And I have several bedroom suits to get out hopefully this week if the rain cooperates. This is one of the things where as much as I love rain, it's it can be kind of irritating because every day that I kind of set up a day for my oldest son to help me move furniture because my husband had to have wrist surgery and he can't lift anything, that it starts to come a downpour. But that's been going well. It is hard to see the emptiness start to develop around their house. But it also is bittersweet because I'm starting to be able to visualize our place in that house and our vision for what that house is going to be come alive. There's this one room that has this brick wall that has this fireplace that's kind of be like my sitting room, I think. And I think it's going to be a great place just to kind of sit in the mornings and the evenings and in the winter have a fire in that fireplace and just have like a place of relaxation. And there's so much work that needs to be done, but it is good to knowing that we're getting to the point where we were going to be able to starting that work soon. So I'm going to be sharing more of that with you as we progress through cleaning out and through renovating. I am happy to say that my pile of boxes has gotten much smaller. It was this huge, massive pile of boxes, and I really don't have that much stuff left to box up on the main floor or the upstairs. There's still some stuff in the basement, but that main boxing up was all upstairs. I still have to do some fine china. I don't want to get rid of her fine china because it's stuff that she brought from Austria, but it is nice seeing the progress and feeling not so burdened by it all. Like I think that's why I'm able to knit and crochet more because some of that burden is starting to lift and bring hope and joy of what's to come. So because of all the rain, I'm definitely having some fall vibes because we do get like a lot of rain here in the fall as well. And a lot of rain today means that we won't have as much drought tomorrow because in the fall we do tend to have a really strong drought period, and that's when a lot of fires can outbreak and just destruction occur. So I welcome a really rainy summer and intro to fall, even though I know it does not make a lot of people happy. I do find joy in hearing the rain, like I talked about earlier. And I'm kind of excited to see some clouds kind of starting to roll in as we get that this evening. But with that fall-esque vibes comes this deep desire to really start new things for me. Like I love fall crafting. I think it just really kind of embraces the spirit of fall to me in all things cozy. And so I do have a couple of things planned as far as fall projects, but I will be mentioning those in a separate fall project plan video. So I think that's enough catching up for one day. I am truly grateful to sit down and have this time with you to talk about projects, talk about what's been going on. I feel like we covered a lot of things, and there's probably still a couple of things that I forgot to mention, so I'll just put those in the basket to mention at the next Knitting and Crochet podcast. If you've made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to share with me. Don't forget to leave me a comment and let me know what you're working on, and if you want to be eligible to win that prize and you are in the US, then don't forget to use that keyword that I mentioned. What else is there? I think that's about it. So I will see you in the next video where we're going to be talking about fall planning. And until then, hugs, love, and all the yarny fluff. Bye!